next week. Big week next week. As I was saying, very important data right the way through the week, culminating in a hugely important non-farm payrolls figure on Friday. But before that, Monday, if we look at the highlights here at the top, manufacturing day Monday, first day of the month. So we're going to get manufacturing data from China, manufacturing data from across Europe, and then also the US figures in the afternoon. We'll get the UK funding for lending scheme figures on also. That's topical, obviously, given that Carney yesterday told us they're going to be trimming that program next year. They're going to be only continuing with it for banks lending to companies. So they're removing the mortgage element here. They want to stop the Bank of England's stimulus for the UK housing market. Obviously talk recently about, is there a bubble, is there not? So that will be interesting. We've got some speakers, ECB's Constancio, Curran, but then Fed's Bernanke is a key speaker, of course, on Monday, so that's clearly very important. Tuesday, we'll get Chinese services sector data, so non-manufacturing PMI. We'll get construction numbers from the UK, and then comments from the IEA chief. Wednesday, very important, Australian GDP, but services sector information from the whole of Europe with the services PMIs. We've got the US ADP unemployment change, so that's key ahead of Friday's payrolls number. We then get the ISM non-manufacturing data, new home sales. These are all important. Thursday's monetary policy day, big meeting for the ECB. It's the ECB's policy meeting, Draghi's press conference. Draghi surprised us all. He cut rates at the beginning of November due to the inflation numbers dropping so sharply. So we had inflation today for Europe for November, which has edged back higher. So some of that deflation risk has been reduced, but it'll be very interesting to see what Draghi's got to say next week. Lots of talk in recent weeks about what further policy they're going to implement. Are they going to look at negative deposit rates? There's talk of maybe a new LTRO with differences to the last one. So perhaps it will be a shorter term, like a 1-year period, and that it will be perhaps a funding for lending type scheme. So there will be conditions on the bank's usage of these funds, and the banks can tap into a new LTRO, but only if they then lend those funds out to companies in the economy. So that's clearly very important. We'll also get the Bank of England, also with their policy meeting. We've got jobless claims, we've got second preliminary GDP figures from the US, and then we've got Lockhart and Fisher in here talking as well. And then to finish things off, Friday, hugely important data, non-farm payrolls. It's normally important, but it's gone off the scale on how important this is now, given the monetary policy implications it has. With a really, really strong number for the month of October, despite the government shutdown. It surprised everyone, breaking back up above 200,000 jobs created in that month. And I think if the payrolls number on Friday is going to be above 200,000, then we need to seriously start pricing in a December taper. So that's huge. You can't underestimate how important that will be. We've also got University of Michigan consumer confidence numbers, Asmussen and Plosser and Evans, they're all talking. So very important indeed. Definitely the most important week between now and the end of the year. If I just pull my S&P chart into view here, daily chart, new all-time highs again today as this market breached the high from Monday, 1809.25, and it's onwards and upwards. The scale of this rally since mid-October has been phenomenal, and is it justified? The percentage move we've got here since literally just in the last, wow, what is it, 6 weeks? It is over 10%. And is that justified? We'll see. Next week's data will tell us if that's justified or not. And what happens if payrolls comes in at above 200,000? Is the S&P going to like that, given the fact that it may mean tapering will come in December? So, highly important week next week. These stock markets up on lifetime highs, and next week will shape the move or the movements we'll see in markets going into the end of the year. If we just look at the euro dollar here, bring in my euro dollar chart. It's been a nice positive week for this currency pair, and continuing to try and reclaim some of these heavy losses that we saw end of October, start of November. But again, payrolls on Friday is going to be massive for this currency pair, and a number above 200,000 is going to see some big dollar strength, therefore downwards trajectory for this market. But then also you've got to factor in the ECB press conference, and how's that going to impact the euro? Plenty of data from Europe next week as well, with all the manufacturing and services numbers. So hugely important. So we will look forward to it. Biggest week left of the year.